Now, this is something that I've never ever done on this channel before, something that I get called out for almost on a weekly basis. And this infraction has to do with the fact that I've never mentioned my name or even introduced myself in a video before. So, my name is Mark Denney. I'm a full-time landscape photographer based out of the great state of North Carolina. And over the past 3 years, I've documented my journey, or transition, I should say, from a 17-year career in the corporate world to becoming a full-time landscape photographer in a multi-part video series here on YouTube. But during the past 3 years, one thing that I've never mentioned nor discussed in a video has to do with what I did to prepare for this transition, the things that I did in the very, very beginning that generated money. But perhaps more importantly than the money was the confidence that generating money created for me that led me to believe that maybe, just maybe, one day I can make a career out of this. And in this video, I want to share with you the things that I did that made me my first dollars with landscape photography. And I cannot stress this enough. This wasn't about the actual money at the time. This is more about testing myself to see if there was an appetite or a desire from others for the things that I was creating. And if there was, then I would move forward and take the next steps. So what's really cool about these things is these are all things that I did in my local area. I didn't travel anywhere for this. I didn't spend any additional money getting to these locations. There was no plane tickets. There was no car rentals or hotel stays or anything like that. All of these things were done in my local area. And the very first thing that I did was offer a free workshop. I knew that I wanted to teach workshops. And I knew if I wanted to make a full-time career out of outdoor photography, that teaching workshops is going to be one of those things that I just needed to do. And I wanted to see, one, was I good at it? Two, would people want to join any of my workshops? So I basically created a Facebook post, just reaching out to local people and tagging areas in my local area, just saying that I was going to be at this specific location on a certain time on Saturday or Sunday, shooting, photos of the local lake at the reservoir or a local woodland area or whatever the case may be. And if anyone would like to join me, it would be a free workshop. And the first time I did it, nobody showed up. But then the second time and the third time and every time after that, it seemed like a couple more people and a few more people would show up. Now, don't get me wrong. I never had, 50 or 100 people show up to these things, but it got to the point to where I had, anywhere from 8 to 12 people show up for these free workshops. And what was so interesting is that, of course, I knew that I wasn't going to get paid for this because it was a free workshop, but I ended up getting gratuity or tips from most of the people just for my time and a little bit of information of the things that really helped me that I could pass on to others. So I ended up making a little bit of money off of that. But local workshops, free local workshop is a great way to one, get a little bit of additional exposure, get a little bit of practice, but also you'd be surprised. Most people will give you some tips or some kind of gratuity just for taking the time to share the knowledge of your local area or photography knowledge with other people. Now, the second thing I did, and this is probably one of the things that I talk about the most in my one-to-one sessions with people that are looking to start a full-time career in landscape photography, is to make those first dollars, to kind of get the revenue wheels turning a little bit, is capture, print, and frame local art. And basically what I mean by that is in your local area, more than likely, if you've lived there for a while, like most people have lived in their local areas, the areas around your home or in your town that are beautiful areas. So go capture those scenes. Go at different times of the day, blue hour, golden hour, foggy situations, stormy situations, whatever the case may be. Capture an image that you absolutely love and take the time to either print it out at home or send it off somewhere and have it printed, and even take it a step further and go get a frame for it and basically create the finished product. And then take that finished product, take it to local hotels, take it to local coffee shops, take it to local restaurants, and walk in the door, literally taking it back old school, door-to-door sales almost, and just go and ask to speak with the manager. And you have the print right there and say, listen, my name is so-and-so. I'm a aspiring landscape photographer. I live in the local area, and I wanted to see if you were looking for any kind of local art to hang in your coffee shop, restaurant, or hotel. And from my experience, most of those people will almost always say yes, especially when you have the product there. They can literally give you the money, take the product, turn around and hang it directly on their wall. Because from my experience, local hotels, local bed and breakfast, restaurants, coffee shops, those kinds of establishments almost always want to have local art from local artists hanging on their wall. And that's a fantastic way to, one, see if anyone's interested in your work and just get a little bit of practice. And you can even promote this on social media as well. This is one of the things that I did early on. I live in Pinehurst, North Carolina. Anyone who's familiar with Pinehurst knows that it's a golfing town. And the biggest employer in Pinehurst is the Pinehurst Resort. So I actually did a lot of photography. I mean, I wasn't hired by them, but I went to the Pinehurst Resort and the local golf courses and I shot certain things and I posted it on Facebook and I would tag them in there. And believe it or not, this is probably the first biggest opportunity for me. Did that make sense? But I shot two very local, I guess, icons of the local area that were synonymous with the Pinehurst Resort, put them on Facebook, and I tagged them. And about a month later, the Pinehurst Resort reached out to me and they wanted to purchase the rights to both of those images. So that was another thing that I did in the very, very beginning. And the best part is when you walk into, say, that local restaurant and they buy your art, ask them, is there anything else in this area that you'd like a photograph of? I'd be more than happy to go out there and capture it for you. So asking for those requests is another great thing as well. And the third thing I did, and this kind of piggybacks on the last part, but is shoot the local icons and promote that. So I found out that, the Pinehurst Resort, there's a lot of local icons in this area that are synonymous with the actual resort. There's also a lot of local icons that are hotels. There's a couple of lakes in this area that are synonymous with Pinehurst. And if you're not sure what the local icons are, a lot of times you can go to a gas station and look at not all gas stations have this anymore. I'm probably showing my age a little bit. But they have the postcard carousels by the checkout counter that people can send to their loved ones who are on vacation in your local area. And those postcards, those are more than likely the icons in your area. And if you want to, you can go and photograph those icons as well and promote it on social media, tag whichever business or establishment is associated with those local icons. And you never know, one of those businesses might reach out to you to purchase that photograph or purchase that print or get some kind of dialogue going. But those are the three things that I did in the very, very beginning that started to generate money for me. And like I said at the beginning of this video, it was not about the money at the time. I only made probably in all total of all of that, maybe $800 to $1,000 in the first maybe 6 months of trying to kind of test the waters a little bit. And that's exactly what it was. It was just testing the waters. Granted, $1,000 for 6 months worth of work is not a whole lot, but it wasn't like I was doing this 24 hours a day. This is just what I did in the free time because I had a normal corporate job. I shouldn't say normal, but I had a corporate job at the time. So these are the things that I would do on the weekend just to see if anybody was interested in the things that I was creating. And I started to gain enough traction, and it just led me to believe, and it gave me enough confidence to say, you know what, Mark? Maybe you should take the next step forward and see if you can continue with this trend and see if you can make turn your hobby into a full-time career. So this is a question I get quite often is, what did you do in the very beginning when you started your business? And these are exactly the three things that I had success with. So if you're looking to start a career in landscape photography, I hope these three things will help you kind of get the proverbial ball rolling for you as well. And as always, if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments section below. I guarantee I will get back in touch with you as fast as humanly possible. And if you did enjoy this week's video, please give it that thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already. And as always, I really do appreciate you watching this week's video, and I will see you all next Wednesday. Bye.